Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dram Antiques Society tasting. And tonight I'm going to taste three whiskies that were released by Bunnahabhain for Fèis Ìle 2024. It's part of their Masterclass tasting kit, which I sent off when you get this little box. And I've actually opened it to see what was inside. And there are four whiskies tonight. I'm only going to taste the uh, the three Fèis Ìle. You get a little tasting card here to make your own notes for each whiskey, with each whiskey uh, marked by a picture of it. And you also get a little cap for your whiskey glass to keep the aromas in, I guess, which is a nice little touch. And then you get this little box with four whiskies. You get the 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 19-year-old. But tonight I'm not going to taste the 12-year-old. I'm going to leave that for a tasting when I do the 12-year-old cask strength and get a comparison with the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old itself, the core range 12-year-old. So let's see. Fèis Ìle, the Islay Festival, is a gathering of whiskey and Islay fans from across the globe. In the last week of May, it's a celebration of Islay, her culture and her spirit. It's a 10-day event that has come to define the whiskey calendar. It started in 1985 as an effort to boost and lengthen the Islay summer season for tourists. And a committee was formed to launch the first ever Islay festival, or Fèis Ìle. The first festival was held in 1986, and it was a wonderful mix of community events, walks, history talks, slideshows, ceilidhs, and more. There was only one whiskey tasting at that original Fèis Ìle, but the whiskey was just a tiny element in an event which lasted 3 weekends, 2 whole weeks, and traversed the whole island. Then, as the festival progressed through the 1980s, the early days of the festival were very exciting, with communities competing for the best dressed village, to the culminating Carnival Day. Decorated floats, stalls, and entertainment followed weeks of hard work by all the locals. And the 2 weeks were filled with music, drama, workshops, talks, walks, ceilidhs, concerts, and dances in the evening. There was even a carnival queen from each parish: Cadalton, Killaro, and Kilmeny, and the Rins. In 2000, the distilleries became more involved and introduced their special open days and ultimately their special Fèis Ìle whisky releases. And now the Fèis Ìle is the charitable organisation from which this huge festival of music and malt has evolved. The voluntary committee worked collaboratively with the distillery community, together with local musicians and other interested people, to showcase Islay. And they add to the mix several visiting artists. During the festival, the island population triples, which means everyone works flat out to accommodate and make the visitor experience truly memorable. Each distillery on Islay has their own open day, where they put on tastings, tours, music, entertainment, and much more. And each has their own unique festival atmosphere and a fantastic range of whiskies and more. And the Fèis Ìle committee also hosts a wide range of events: ceilidhs, folk nights, whisky nosings, the epic first and final flings, and much more. They focus on the music and the culture, providing a perfect Islay experience. So, Islay isn't just about whiskey or gin or beer. It's the miles of golden beaches, the hills, and the woods to be explored. It would be great to go along, to give yourself time to have a dram on the beach at sunset, watch the orange glows as the sun dips into the Atlantic. I don't think we would regret it. So, the Bunnahabhain Feis Ile 2024, it's the north coast of Islay might seem a strange place to find a substantial Victorian distillery, but it was chosen in 1881 by William Robertson of Robertson and Baxter in partnership with the Greenlees brothers as the perfect spot for his island vision. Constructing it meant not only building the distillery, but houses as well, putting in a road and adding on a pier so that casks and barley could come in and the whiskey go out. It cost Robertson in 1881 £30,000, which is around 2.6 million in today's money. In 1887, when Bunnahabhain merged with Glenrothes, Highland Distillers, now Edrington, was formed. While other Islay distilleries sold their make as single malts and for blending, Bunna's destiny was always with the latter. While it was used across the industry, it performed a central role in three R&B blends: Famous Grouse, Cutty Sark, and, in time, Black Bottle. Rapid growth for Scotch in the early 1960s saw the stills being doubled in 1963, the same year as the floor maltings came out. However, its good fortunes weren't to last, and like many distilleries, it was mothballed in 1982. Although the mothballing only lasted 2 years, production levels were kept low for many years. By the end of the 1980s, it was finally ready to emerge as a single malt with the tagline, "The Unpronounceable Malt." The vast bulk of its make was, however, still making its way into blends. Despite an upturn in the whisky market, Edrington sold it whilst retaining fillings contracts in 2003 to Burn Stewart for £10 million. Burn Stewart itself was owned by Trinidad-based conglomerate CL Financial, which went spectacularly bust in 2009. In 2013, CL's receivers sold Burn Stewart to its long-term South African distributor Distillery. Since then, production levels have increased, as have sales of the single malt, with significant success in Africa and Taiwan. In 2017, Distillery announced an £11 million investment in upgrading Bunnahabhain's scruffy appearance and transform the site into a world-class whisky destination. The 3-year upgrade programme began in 2019 with the demolition of shoreline warehouses, which will make way for a new visitor centre. Everything about Bunnahabhain is large, from the huge courtyard to the stills. It is these, with their low fill levels and massive amount of available copper, which help to craft what has always been a light style of malt. Aging has traditionally been an ex-sherry cask, which adds a sumptuous sweet richness to the spirit. Although quite where the spicy ginger note, which is a marker for Bunna, comes from is unclear. Occasionally refill casks show an almost salty edge. Although peak levels have dropped to virtually nothing from the 1960s onwards. Buna did start life smokier than it is now, something which Burn Stewart is reviving. These days, around 20% of production is heavily peated, destined for a variety of bottlings, the main one of being Toicha. So first up tonight, of the 3 whiskies we have here, we're going to try the 14-year-old. So this is a Fèis Ìle 2024 14-year-old ruby cask finish at 58.7%. It was crafted exclusively for the Fèis Ìle 2024. And this unique Bunnahabhain was originally filled into bourbon casks on the 26th of May 2009, being transferred into ruby port hogsheads on the 17th of November 2020 to finish, before bottling in 2024. The distillery say this should result in flavours of rich candied berries and stone fruits, synonymous with ruby port, complementing the creamy and malty Bunnahabhain spirit. So let's see what we have here. So it's a lovely dark copper colour there. It's a nice tide line and nice viscous tears on the whiskey. Let's see what we have on the nose. Oh, it's lots of dark chocolate. And then you get toasted oak, cherries, plums, and raspberries with a hint of caramelized walnuts. It opens straight away and it's very intense. You can tell straight away that there's a lot in this. Dried oranges, vanilla, caramel, cloves, blood oranges, and a touch of herbal thyme, hints of cinnamon, marzipan, and then there's a juicy blueberry muffin, sage. Now it's sort of milk chocolate and spicy oak. But you get that slightly musty smell with a distinct wine note from the port. But then the intense fruit notes of blackberries, black currants, and dried fruit. But you do get this has been in bourbon for 11 years before it went into the port cask, for 4 and a bit years. And so you get the typical bourbon fruits such as apricots. There's also a subtle sweetness of brown sugar and caramel. The alcohol, 58.7%. It's nicely integrated and not disturbing. But you get the sweetness is complemented by sour oak notes with a delicate bitterness and a hint of black pepper. We'll try the mouth. It's very sweet on the tongue, with an alcoholic tingle and white pepper, together with the port wine notes. Very creamy, with almost a syrupy mouthfeel, with caramel candies and heavy dark fruits. And the brown sugar and caramel notes are also there. It's spicy, yet sweet, with cinnamon and nutmeg intertwined with panna chocolate, red currants, pomegranate, and sweet malt. And it tingles properly in the mouth, with a hot but also quite creamy mouthfeel. And it's mouthwatering. The saliva flows extremely well. Fat blueberry aromas, milk chocolate, pepper, jarred cherries, red fruit compote, cherry lollipops, dried oranges, and sun ripened grapes. There's a little bit of tobacco, leather, toffee, raspberry syrup, and oak spice. And it's a lingering finish with cocoa and spice, medium long, spicy oak, blueberries, dark chocolate, a very subtle hint of ash, dried meadow herbs, and finally pickled cherries and mulled wine spices. And the sweetness comes through again at first in the finish, but it's slowly replaced by the strong oak. And the fruits are now less dark and they tend towards strawberries, apricots, and peaches, which linger along with the oak, and it's sort of almost like an association with wine gums. And the finish is relatively long. I'm going to try 5 drops of water in this. Still fantastic tears on this. And there's a lovely, lovely Scotch mist there. And with that, a few drops of water, the nose becomes noticeably softer and lighter. And the fruits are now less heavy and the apricots come through better. And overall, the bourbon barrels are much more noticeable with a little water. We'll try them out. The tingling on the tip of the tongue becomes weaker, but the creamy mouthful remains. The sweetness lingers in the mouth. The oak loses some of its intensity in favour of the wine gums. There's a delicate note of cappuccino there as well. And the sweetness lingers in the mouth for much longer. Still strawberries and apricots and peaches. This is a beautiful and intense bottling with great blueberry aromas. I like the voluminous experience on the palate. The port cask did a good job here, blending in well in terms of aroma without seeming too artificial. I like this one much more than I perhaps anticipated I would. So I'm going to cleanse my palate now with a Walker's mini oat cake and some water. So the second whiskey is the Fèis Ìle 2024 23-year-old triple sherry wood finish, bottled at 53.3%. So this 23-year-old cask strength limited edition is an experimental combination of the finest sherry cask finishes, Amontillado, Manzanilla, and Oloroso, and it's quite a complex makeup. The spirit was distilled in 1999 and then put into ex-bourbon casks, and then some was transferred into Amontillado casks on the 4th of November 2009. So 13 years in Amontillado casks after 10 years in bourbon. And then some was put into Oloroso casks on 20th of June 2011. So 12 years in Oloroso casks after 12 years in bourbon. And then some was put into Manzanilla casks on the 12th of September 2016. So 7 years in Manzanilla casks after 17 years in bourbon. So then the master blender, Julian Fernandez, married these whiskies together and then bottled them up at a cask strength of 53.3%. We don't know the proportion of each of the finishes on this one, but let's see what we have. It's actually a bit lighter than its younger cousin that we just tasted, the 14-year-old from Ruby Port, which shows you the influence of the cask on the Ruby Port finished one. It's at a lower ABV, but of course it is 23 years old, so there'll be a fair bit of evaporation of the ABV in that time. And it's got thinner tears than the Ruby Port one. Let's see what the nose is. So you get almond pastries and sweet berries, creamy fudge, and there's a bit of floral rose petals, and a bit of desiccated coconut. It's fruity and creamy. Mix of raisins and vanilla, and it is subtle, almost floral, with soft wood notes. But the sherry remains covered. Fruity and creamy. It's a mix of raisins and vanilla. A bit like pasty de nata, almond pastries, sweet berries, creamy fudge, and rose petals. Let's see the mouth. Fresh vanilla pods, butterscotch, and creamy strawberries, balanced by honeyed cashews. There's some wood spice in there, and a gentle hint of tobacco. Dried fruits, butterscotch, Christmas biscuits. It's quite round. It's successful. It's gaining strength, developing an aromatic wood note, almost like a wine barrel, with a slight sweetness. It's quite a dry finish. Pine needles and black currants. It's full bodied, it's intense, fruity, with a nice aftertaste. I'm going to try 5 drops of water in this one. Again, there's a nice Scotch mist there. It's something different. It's a bone dry nut mixture. And now I'm getting some of the brine that Bunnahabhain is renowned for. Apricots, honeydew melon, and pineapple. Touch of perfume, being like being in a flower shop. And the long maturation has had some effect here. We'll try them out. And again, the extremely dry notes of the sherries are dominating. But then you get some salt and almost a feeling of port. And there is a little bit of feeling of exhaust fumes. But then it becomes fruitier, just as it did on the nose. And with water, the finish is long with more mango, tropical fruits. A licorice taste lingers on the palate for a long time. Well, this one impresses with its fine, noble wood aromas. And the different barrels seem to be well combined and they appear to be old. It's round, it's balanced, with outstanding sherry notes and intense aromas of dried fruits and raisins. And it's got a soft texture. It's quite a beautiful whiskey. I'm going to cleanse my palate again with a Walker's mini oak kit. So, just have a little water. So now we go to the Fèis Ìle Distillery exclusive 19-year-old Moine Madeira cask finished, bottled at 51.2%. So this one is exclusive to the brand, but you can get it by mail order. It's a limited edition peated 19-year-old, and it had 12 years of maturation in ex-bourbon casks, followed by a 7-year finish in a Madeira hogshead. And the distillery says that should bring notes of stone fruits, toasted malt, wood spice, and sweet peat. So it's sort of in between colours. It's neither as dark as the ruby port finish or as light as the triple sherry wood finished 23-year-old. And again, it's got some tears, nice tears. Let's see where we go here. Well, it's creamy smoke at the beginning, some ash, maritime. It's quite intense, briny algae. But behind that, there's some stewed fruit and candied orange peel and sweet caramel, hazelnut and cracked black pepper. But that wave of smoke still there. It seems ripe and maritime, but there is a lovely sweetness that slowly increases. Grilled peach, honey, chocolate. It seems thick and concentrated. You might expect a bit more complexity in a 19-year-old Madeira cask finish, but it's still very nice. We'll try them out. Walnut oil and stone fruits, and it's beautifully balanced with toasted malt, wood spice, and sweet peat. It's got a perfect mouthfeel, creamy and sweet. Oily, maritime, algae-like, almost like a Ligabuna. Ashy, cold smoke. But then you get the fruit, the peach, the Madeira plums, and honey. And always a bit edgy and rough. Very tasty, a great interplay with a great spectrum and a real explosion of flavour. And it got a lingering sweet finish with nutmeg and sea salt. And the ashy maritime smoke remains on the tongue with algae and a peach jam which sticks to the cheeks. Fig cream. And the smoke and the alcohol ensure a long finish. I'm going to try 5 drops of water in this. Let's see where this takes us. Again, there's a nice Scotch mist there. And some lovely tears. And with water, it becomes a little drier on the nose and more herbal. It's still clearly maritime with more time adding the water. The Madeira starts to show itself. And as often is the case when you add water to a maritime peated whiskey, it gets clearly smokier and more maritime. And the finish is only rudimentarily perceptible. It's much simpler. A salty algae, dry smoke, and a little sweetness. Uh, so the nose and the finish are good on this, and I like it. I like Bunnahabhain, the sherried Corey Reese 18-year-old is a top class drum. Uh, and I suspect this is exactly how a Madeira smoked wine should taste. Very drinkable, sweet, yellow fruity, maritime and smoky. And I'm not sure it needed water at 51.2%. It's a very good combination. You could accuse it of a lack of complexity, but I'm not sure that bothers me too much. You could drink it neat. I think you should drink it neat. I think with water it becomes a little flatter. So this is all interesting stuff from Bunnahabhain. And all the drams show great complexity and yet are very enjoyable to drink. Bunna has a coastal edge, but that doesn't overpower the spirit. The core range 12 is highly recommended as an introduction, but the whiskies tasted here are of the moment insofar as up to 23 years maturation can be an of the moment experience. So, thanks for listening. See you next time.